Alright guys, Tony here at Old Man Wrenching. Tonight I thought I'd do a little something different. Going to take a look at the Bubblegum Crisis pinball machine homebrew that I did for Southern Fried Game Expo. I guess it would be 2 years ago now. I may be taking it again this year. We'll have to see. But I thought I'd show you where I got to with it. A lot of people at the show didn't seem to understand the concept, so I'll just show you real quick. Boot her up. The biggest thing about this machine was that I wanted to power it using visual pinball. And the whole thing that got me started on that was at the time, a lot of people were starting to get into DOF and controlling solenoids, and that was really beginning to kind of get some momentum. But I was like, you know, if you're going to be popping and clicking and making noises, there we go, button got stuck. You know, why not power some actual solenoids? And what I thought would be kind of cool would be kind of like multimorphic, where they have the back third that you can swap out. Well, if you're powering a visual pinball and you have all the rule sets, it would just be a matter of building play fields that you could swap in to a cabinet. So, you know, I could take an old one like this that has none of the mix in it, and build it up and be able to play it. So I know there's a lot of older titles that I would really like to have that are kind of rare, and let's face it, I don't have any space in here. So to be able to pull this board out, maybe undo a harness, some other plugs maybe, and then just be able to slide another playfield in here and then have the back glass be drawn by the computer. You know, and you could enhance the rules if you wanted to. So this is where I ended up with it. It's not really playable at the moment because I ran out of time. I didn't have enough time to finish the little piece that I need right here to redirect the ball around into the first set of bumpers there. Otherwise, it would have been fine. Of course, you know, you got to contend with windows too with visual pinball, which is really a big hassle. But it does work, and I'm just going to show you some demonstration here real quick. Like I said, I worked on it for 17 months. I took it to Southern Fried, and I was kind of burned at that point. I'm going to have to mute this so that I don't get into some kind of crazy copyright violation. There we go. But this is the pup pack. It's just a standard one that you can build, you know, using the pup pack editor. The back glass was I custom did all the art on this. Now, when I say that I did the art, I created collages basically of existing art. So, am I the artist? No, I'm just an assembler. And I'll show you down here the way I did the play field. I don't know how well this will come through on the video, but this is a track mode basically right now. What else we got going here? The play field, if you watch some of my other videos, you'll see how I did the colors. These are not colored LEDs, they're all white. And I just used film sheets to give the colors where I wanted them. And one of the reasons why I did that and didn't go with straight RGB was the boards that I'm using to control the lights are LED whizzes. So you're limited on the number of ports that you're going to have. And as you can tell, I have a lot of lights on this. So for each LED, if you're using RGB, you basically have to have at least 3 wires, I think it is, per light. And what you do is you end up eating up some of the places where you can wire this up pretty quickly, and the harnesses get really bulky. This is just a homebrew, so I don't have access to a lot of the technology that people do. I will say this too, that I had this next to you guys have seen Saw, probably, which is extremely well done, beautiful machine. Those guys did a really great job. But I was talking to one of them, and I said, tell me a little bit about the machine. And they ended up divulging that there was 3 guys working on it, and they'd spent about $15,000 to build the machine. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. Way too rich for me. So this is one person, me, and I did everything. I didn't outsource anything, except the printing of the art. I had somebody, I had a company print the art for me because I don't have access to that kind of stuff. But all in, right now I'm at $3,000. So to me, that's a pretty significant difference. Now, does theirs look like $15,000? Yeah, sure does. It would be something like you might see at a Jersey Jack, or, whereas mine does not. And mine's not done. There's ramps missing that I never got around to because I ran out of time. There's supposed to be a ramp that comes off this very top, comes around like this. And then there's supposed to be another one that's going to exit out of the AD police station, if you guys are familiar with Bubblegum Crisis. But there's supposed to be another hole up at a higher level, and the ball will come through and come down over here. These lights for the street, the highway, are supposed to be lit. These are LED lights. They're not lit yet. I've got logistical problems. I don't believe that shot's possible. I think you could hit it, but I've never gotten a chance to try it. But I'm not certain that the ball will be able to go up through there. I do believe it would work this way. But I've got to do more work to it because that's probably not going to work. And this is all handcrafted from metal. That's not that's not 3D printed ramps or nothing. This is all physically made. This ramp here is actually made out of a 1/4-inch plexi so that you can see through it. There's a diverter up in here that I have not finished yet. The only thing that it is a little bit off to me is some of the holes that I drilled, and you can see the video on that. And it really didn't become obvious that the hole was slightly off until it was backlit. Most of them are really good, but there are a few that I think could be a little better. That 2X stands out to me as being wrong. But overall, that system worked really well. And the top layer is a plexi sheet. It's not wood. I'll go ahead and see if I can. I might have to cut off here for a second. I'm going to slide the glass out. All right, so here you can see the virtual pinball that is running inside of the machine. And I'll go ahead and kick off a game. So I've got the back glass moved on to the pup pack display at the bottom, just to show you this. But But this is the rule set. You got to think of this as the rule set that's running beneath the scenes. And I'm going to kick off a game here. All right, so there's your ball. Now, when you're playing an actual game, the ball is rolling around on the playfield, not the virtual ball. We don't really care what is going on here. And the way I have it set up is when there should be an error when it comes up because I never finished it. But when the ball drains, it hits a trigger, and that trigger is red, and that trigger is going to destroy the ball that's on the table up there. So let's go ahead and I'll just launch the ball. And occasionally you're going to hear it click, like probably now. Yeah. So that's the Cleveland software design board. And what it has done is I've triggered a switch, and the switch contact has been red, and that's signaling to Visual Pinball to count the score and advance whatever counter that I have in my rules. And then Visual Pinball is connecting with DOF, and DOF is firing the solenoid to eject the ball from the physical slot. So Visual Pinball through DOF is controlling a lot of the actions while keeping track of the score. And that's all it does. So whatever rules you have in Visual Pinball, all you have to do is map it to whatever the switches are. And I'm doing that through a key whiz and LED whiz and just some other controllers. Now you can do all this in using a fast controller and Python and whatever. I chose to do it this way because, and there's my error, but I chose it to do it this way because I was very familiar with Visual Pinball. I've coded numerous tables for Visual Pinball, so I was familiar with it. I was not familiar with DOF when I started this project, but I got to be very familiar with DOF. I'm kind of bouncing all around because I just have a lot of different ideas. So anyway, let's go on and do a little bit of some more gameplay. So I'll just show you how it works. And you should notice some and see it's instantaneous. A lot of people are talking about lag. Oh yeah, it's not a real-time operating system and blah blah. Well, I don't notice any different. And one of the reasons is because I've developed this as electromechanical as I could. Like even the flippers, I'm not using the Cleveland software controller. I'm not using Visual Pinball to do flippers. This is straight up Gottlieb electromechanical. I mean, it snaps hard, it snaps fast. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? Especially not for a homebrew. If you want to do some kind of fancy stuff and control the strength of flippers, okay, cool. I don't want to do that. I just want it to be like the Solar City next to it. Let's just play. There we go. All right. Ball launch. And if you notice when I'm hitting on the virtual world up here, when I hit the kickers or the slings, nothing's happening, right? And it's because it doesn't. That's not really an active table. It's there for rules. And I did the visual part of it. That was the first thing I did. I built a virtual pinball machine, and I have a version that is playable. This is just the one that's designed for this. And actually, this one is a little bit fancier than the one that I have for the controlling because I was trying to show this at Southern Fried, and I wanted it to look like something. But I have one that's just, it has no textures, it has no nothing. And that's just to try and keep the the CPU from having to waste a bunch of cycles trying to render things that it doesn't really need to know about. It really needs to only know about switches. So you can strip all that away and just have switches on the thing. But you can see on the playfield, you know, my lights are mirroring what's going on up there. And actually a little bit better because the ones up there aren't flashing, but the ones on the playfield are. So that's kind of cool. And that's done, again, through programming. Let's see if we can rack up some more lights. But there's a lot of things that, like I said, I didn't get to finish. But you can see the lights. Well, they're working pretty well. And it's kicking out the ball. Knocking down some drop targets up there. Got another one. And then, you know, there's more videos on this if you guys want to dig into it a little bit deeper. There's where I show how I'm making the sandwich. You know, how this is the trans light underneath. But the Cleveland software design board, really nice. LED whiz and the key whiz, and they're okay. They do, the LED whizzes work, you know, perfectly for what I want. The key whiz, I'm having a little bit more problems out of, and the reason for that is when I was trying to demonstrate it, I ran into an issue where a key was locked on. And so then I had to reboot the machine to get the key unstuck. There's just some issues with that. All right. So let me get you in here. Let's see what all I've got down here. In the bottom of the cabinet, it's pretty simple. I got a 12 volt supply. I got a 2448 volt supply. I've got this, that's for the sound. It's just a small amplifier. To run the sound speakers. The Cleveland software design board is back here. And that's for the higher voltage stuff for the coils. And you can see how the coils are all wired up in here. Like this. It looks messier than it is. It's just when you're doing point-to-point wiring, you end up with a whole lot of stuff. There's just no way around that. I did use the obstacles, which I thought were pretty cool. Everything's fused. You know, I've got fuses in here all over the place. And that's to, mostly those were to protect my higher dollar items. You know, my LED whizzes. I've got 3 of those in here. There's 1, 2, 3. And then the key whiz is down here. I've got, like I said, I've got him currently unplugged because he was causing me all manner of nightmares. But this guy is what registers the switches. So I've got to have that, but I got to find out which one I programmed for letter M, because whatever letter M is stuck on. It's probably just something like this. Might be a little bit too close or something. But a few people did play some balls on it before it started acting up. The other thing that I got wrong at the show was I discovered I had the bulbs are wired up for 12 volts. so they're extremely bright. You probably saw that in the earlier shots that I was doing. That the LEDs are really bright at the moment, but the LEDs can handle the 12 volt. Those little incandescent lamps, they lasted till about noon. But the good news was that, you know, the machine stayed up all day. It burned out those bulbs, and that was about it. Everything else functioned as you would expect. I can't really get into the back box because I've got it shoehorned back in here. But I'll pull that out for another video and let you see the inside of the back box. Not much going on in there. It literally just has it has the 2 monitors and the speakers, and that's about it. Out in the back there. Maybe not. It's pretty dark. I'm gonna grab a flashlight real quick. All right, yeah, so I got my flashlight out. Maybe you can see back in there. Just I decased. I had an old computer case. I just stripped it back to where it just had the board, the mounting board, and then I mounted the mounting board, the steel mounting board, to the back of the box, and then plugged everything in on top of it. And the power supply is over there, so it's all separated out. And all of this is, you know, UL listed equipment. And it's all plugged in and grounded. And I have grounds throughout the case too, for just in case. But you know, and I have protective covers over things like this, so you can't stick your fingers on there and fry yourself, because that is a concern. When you're building this stuff, it's no joke. You know, you can really light yourself up if you're not careful. So, I mean, I have years of experience working in an arcade, actually several arcades over my lifetime, both on the technical side and from the support and game side. So, trying to figure out what, I was trying to figure out what the blue tape was. I'd forgotten that I had taped up those are the wires for the street lamps. A little 5 volt, or might even be 3 volt. They're little miniature railroad lights. That's where I got those from, out of train supply. Yeah, everything else, you know, came out really well. This is a refurbished Gottlieb cabinet. There's more information on that, but I was really pleased with how the coin door came out. I had to treat that thing. Was heavily rusted, and I soaked it in Evapo-Rust, face down, like you know, this side in the Evapo-Rust, and just let it soak, let it eat on it. And this is the inside of it. It's got a little bit of discoloration where the rust was, but other than that, it's fine. The outside I sprayed with this hand hammered silver, matte silver color. I thought that came out really well. My artwork is holding up pretty well. The legs have been off of it and on it a couple times. I did notice that the vinyl got pushed up in one spot there and one spot over here, so something happened with that. But other than that, for a whole day with the public, you know, messing with it, it held up. So anyway, I guess that's all for today, guys, and I'll catch you later. Bye.